Good afternoon. It is 12:30 on your Thursday. I'm Julie Broughton. This is Take 6. I hope you are having a very happy Halloween. Of course, the forecast is always very important for trick-or-treating, and we'll check in on your Halloween forecast for you coming up in just a few minutes. But I can tell you, I think we are in good shape. I think the weather will cooperate for all the big activities going on tonight. Also, in the spirit of the holiday today, News 6 morning anchor and insider guide Crystal Moyer will take us to Casadega. If you're not familiar, it is a small town, a spiritualist camp in Volusia County with a very interesting history. So she will dive more into that coming up in just a few minutes. But first, we are joined now by News 6 investigator Lewis Bolden with his schemes and ripoffs. And Lewis, I tell you, these bad guys are always looking for and coming up with new ways to get to our money. And this one I had never heard of is we were talking about invitations to be on podcasts, but then it just doesn't go the way you think it's going to go.
No, it goes to the left very fast. We initially did this as a schemes, but then we decided to make a longer investigation out of it after a local woman came forward and saying it happened to her. And, these podcasts offer exposure. Sometimes these invitations offer a lot of money for a short amount of time, but it can quickly go to the left. Let's take a look. Fern Cotton, Rachel Hollis, even well-known names like Tony Robbins. All invitations that have landed in my inbox to be a guest on their podcasts, even offering $2,000 for 45 minutes of my time. But if it sounds too good to be true, it often is.
It's like the most mind-blowing thing.
Michaela Nichols is a best-selling author and motivational speaker who also runs a nonprofit helping kids. She appears on podcasts regularly, but when she got this invitation to be on a podcast that would be streamed live on Facebook, she says everything changed.
I know how to use the internet. I'm pretty smart. I get the spammy emails. I'm like, haha, you're not going to get me. Yeah. And here I am, and they got me.
The scheme goes like this. Someone invites you to appear on a podcast, and before the show, they do a tech check under the guise of making sure everything runs smoothly. But during that check, they take your credentials and take over your account.
And I rushed over to my computer and I saw that there was 8 accounts in my business admin settings that had now basically control of my account.
I can't imagine how many Facebook accounts are getting hacked every day, but it's a huge amount.
News 6 connected Michaela with Chris Hadnacky, aka The Human Hacker. He is the founder and CEO of Social Engineering, LLC.
As they're going to try to get into your accounts, look for private photos that you may not want anyone else to see. And then they're going to extort you with those photos. Say, we're going to put these publicly if you don't pay us money.
In Michaela's case, there were no compromising photos, but the crooks started posting inappropriate and pornographic images on her page as if she were posting them.
I was just kind of traumatized because, I work every day to really help children, and my reputation means everything to me.
They also tapped into her American Express card, which was attached to the Facebook account, and made charges from Amazon.
You just have to be so careful. I changed all my passwords, I changed all my stuff, and it's like I'm still scared.
To avoid this from happening to you, you can use a podcast search engine like listennotes.com to verify if someone has a podcast. But remember, the bad guys sometimes use real podcasters' names in the invitation. And never change the settings on your account for someone you don't know and trust. Getting results, I'm Lewis Bolden, News 6. So I opened that piece up with all of the podcast invitations that have landed in my inbox. And so, Julie, I got another one of those invitations after I initially reported that. And so now I just send them a link to the report when they send me those. But Michaela was like the perfect person for this because she has written a book, she has a nonprofit, and so people approach her to be on podcasts all the time. So it didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary for her, and she has done tech checks before. But that is the biggest thing, that if you get one of these invitations, you're not sure about it, beware of that tech check and do not let anyone take over the controls of your social accounts.
Yeah, when I was preparing for Take 6 today, and then I was reading the story and saw Michaela's name, I didn't realize you had done a story with her. I've known Michaela for years. Michaela's a good friend of mine. She is brilliant, by the way. And so that just shows if this can happen to her, it can truly happen to anyone. Like you said, she's on podcasts all the time. It all seemed on the up and up to her. Had you already done the story when you heard from Michaela that, hey, this happened to me too?
No, I was
Okay.
already working on it though, because these things were landing in my inbox so often that I was like, there's got to be something more to this, and started doing some research and found out, sure enough. And she said that she has actually been on podcasts where they did a real tech check. And so, but you're right, she is on the lookout for this kind of thing, and she said if it can happen to her, it can happen to anybody.
It certainly can. I was stunned. I do remember a while back when she was posting something about her account being hacked, or telling people about that, but I did not make the connection that this is what had happened. So that is scary stuff.
And one of the things that she did immediately before they completely took over is she changed the settings to when she posts something that only she would see it. So that was a very smart thing to do when she did it at the last minute just before they took over her account and
Wow.
started posting all of these things.
Wow, Lewis. And I know that you're going to be on News 6 this afternoon talking more about this.
That's right, at 4 o'clock and at 6 o'clock.
Fabulous. Well, wonderful. Lewis Bolden, thank you so much. And happy Halloween. Do you have big plans tonight?
Happy Halloween. We have a friend coming over, a mutual friend actually, to help us hand out candy.
Oh, okay.
Jen Lopez is going to be
Wonderful.
hanging out
Yes.
with us. Yeah,
Yes.
we've done it a few times. I think this will be like the third year we've done it. I have no idea what I'm wearing yet, but I'll
Okay.
figure that out this evening.
I know it will be something fabulous. I believe in you.
Listen, I'll do what I can.
All right, Lewis. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jules.
All right, we are going to take a short break, but when we get back, we're going to hear from News 6 anchor Eric Von Aken with his Protecting Our Community segment. He'll take us to Flagler County. And of course, Crystal Moyer will take us to Volusia County, to Cassadaga, to do a little bit more into the history of this spiritualist camp. And we'll also have a check of that very important Halloween forecast, all coming up in about 2 minutes. I'm Julie Braun. It is 12:39. Welcome back to Take 6 on this Halloween. We'll have a check of your trick-or-treating forecast for you coming up in just a few minutes. But first, every week, News 6 anchor Eric Von Aken brings us his Protecting Our Community segment. This week, he takes us to Flagler County, where they are telling him that they expect that no criminal will ever slip through the cracks again at the Flagler County Jail. Now, we report on things like this on occasion. You hear about inmates coming with violent past, and they're released on bond before judges really know the extent of their background. But now Flagler County expects that will never happen again, because they can check DNA databases very quickly. In just about an hour and a half, Eric got to see this machine in action.
We're inside the Flagler County Jail, right at the main booking area, with Commander Maselli and Deputy Radford, because they both are very familiar with this machine. This is the only place in Central Florida that has this rapid DNA technology, right?
Yes.
Yes. Show us how it works, please.
So initially we would bring an offender in from arrest and we would take fingerprints.
So now step 2 is to actually get the swab from the inmate.
Yes.
Okay, I know you're going to use the commander as an example here. So this is the last step. Then you take the DNA swab and you bring it over to this, because this creates the DNA profile.
Correct. This is the rapid DNA instrument. So at this point, it would prompt us to insert the cartridge, like so.
So while this is analyzing, it takes about 90 minutes to come up with that DNA profile. At the end of that 90 minutes, it'll send this DNA that you just took from an inmate coming in here to the FBI to check their database.
Correct.
To see if someone committed a crime somewhere else in the country that otherwise you'd have no idea about.
And that takes a lot of the time element away from it, because normally before we were allowed to use this machine, we would have to submit that DNA sample to the FDLE. Yeah, they say anywhere from weeks to months, depending on their backlog.
But there's a second database you were telling me about that is really critical.
Yes, that's called DISC. That is DNA Index of Special Concern. Correct. Persons of special concern. Anybody that's committed a homicide, kidnapping, sexual assaults, or terroristic act. Immediately, because before they could have bonded out if it was a bondable charge, and by the time we got their DNA back from FDLE, which could be weeks to months, they're already out and they could have committed another crime.
And the staff here at the jail does something else. They'll take a second DNA sample from that inmate and they'll put it in this envelope and send this physical copy to Tallahassee to the state lab there to double check that they got it right here. They've done about 100 samples so far since they started this about 6 months ago. So far, no hits to that FDLE database, but they expect it's just a matter of time. Protecting our community in Flagler County, Eric Von Eichen getting results, News 6.
And of course, that was Eric Von Aiken reporting. We apologize for some of those audio issues we had in that package. And now from Flagler County to Volusia County, you may have heard of Cassadaga. It was established way back in 1894, and it is known for having psychics and spiritualists. And News 6 insider, guide, and morning anchor Crystal Moyer takes us there and tells us why it is often referred to as the psychic capital of the world.
It's a small town known as the psychic capital of the world.
Most people come here to have a good time, to be scared.
Cassadaga is home to a prominent spiritualist camp founded in 1894 by George Colby, a well-known medium who's said to have had psychic abilities to connect and communicate with the dead. The camp has since grown to about 57 acres with dozens of certified mediums, spiritualists, and healers living there. I sat down with Lewis Gates, a spiritual medium. He grew up in Cassadaga. I'm just going to come out and ask you, is Cassadaga or parts of Cassadaga haunted?
We don't feel like it's haunted. There's just a lot of spirits walking through here, though. If we contact spirit and keep contacting spirit in this area, then it's going to feel like there's a lot of spirit here.
The Cassadaga camp has become much of an attraction. Signs throughout the camp advertising psychic therapy, healing, even a haunted history museum. One of the most well-known haunted attractions sits here at the Cassadaga Cemetery. It's called the Devil's Chair. And legend has it, if you sit in this chair at midnight, the devil himself will communicate with you. The legend goes on to say, if you leave an unopened cold beer on the seat, it'll be empty by morning. The legend of the Devil's Chair, just a bunch of hocus pocus. Gates says the chair was actually built so families can sit and visit with their loved one's spirits. As far as the devil part of the story,
we as spiritualists don't believe in a hell.
But there's some truth to the beer myth.
Back in the day, a bunch of us teenage boys, we would sit out behind the chair, wait for them to bring their beer up. We would sneak up, we'd drink it, place it back up, and they'd turn around and go, oh, Satan drank it.
Other known haunts include the historic Cassadaga Hotel and spirit-filled buildings like Slater House and Davis Hall.
Back in the day when they had the naval base, all of them used to come over here and they used to have dances. So you can get in there and sit there at night and you'll hear dancing.
Gates says he doesn't mind the haunted reputation that Cassadaga has and welcomes visitors to the camp to see the Colby Memorial Temple, participate in psychic services, and get educated.
People say, "Ooh, it's got to be spooky there," because it was just the stories. It's never, because people come here because it's quiet.
In Cassadaga, Crystal Moyer, Getting Results, News 6.
I will tell you, I've been to Cassadaga. It's very peaceful, like he said, very quiet. So it is a fun little day trip if you are interested in that. Now, as promised, here is a check of your forecast for today. I think we're in good shape, but of course, we'll start you right out with our Halloween trick-or-treating forecast, taking you through the afternoon hours. We'll see afternoon highs today a little bit warmer than normal in the 80s. And if you've been outside today, you know that it is breezy, but overall really pleasant. Then, as you are heading out this evening, we will see temperatures falling into the 70s. I think will stay dry and should be pretty comfortable for all of your Halloween plans. Here's a look at the radar for you, scanning out, showing we're not picking up on any major rain. A few isolated showers out over the Atlantic, but fewer showers today than we've seen the last couple of days. So we like that trend for our Halloween. 82 right now if you're in Orlando. If you're in Melbourne, you're also at 82. It is 81 in New Smyrna Beach, 82 in Palm Coast, and 81 in Ocala. Rain chances for today are around 20% or less. I think as we head into the evening hours, that drops even a little bit more. So again, weather should not interfere with any of your big plans this afternoon or this evening. Here's a look at your clouds and rain forecast. We roll you through the afternoon hours. Notice at times the model picking up on fairly thick cloud cover, but for the most part, it should be comfortable by 7, 8 o'clock this evening. Again, we're all dry out there, so we're heading out for our plans. As you're wrapping things up and maybe stealing your kids' Reese's cups by around 10 or 11 o'clock tonight, still looking good, but you'll be doing that inside. But still, if you wanted to do that outside, you'd be in good shape. Taking you out to the tropics now real quickly. Here is a look at what the National Hurricane Center is highlighting. Still that same area you'll notice in orange in the western and southwestern Caribbean. Now they have bumped that chance of development over the next 7 days up to about 50%. I know we've been talking about this a lot over the last several days. Some of the models want to carry it farther west. Some of them want to take it out into the Atlantic. Something we're watching very closely. If it were to develop and have any impacts for us, it would be more than a week away. But again, at this point, we don't necessarily think that that is the likely path. 7-day forecast showing we go to 84 today, 86 for tomorrow. Now remember the afternoon high normal this time of year is around 82. So we'll stay a little bit warmer than normal, both as far as our highs and our lows, keeping those lows around 70. But overall, a really nice stretch. We will talk much more about the tropics and much more about your Halloween forecast coming up beginning on News 6 at 4. If you have any questions or comments for us at Take 6, head to clickorlando.com/Take 6. Let us know what's on your mind. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you at 4.